I want to show you the process of rational emotive therapy, or what is known as cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy is based on the belief that thoughts are behaviors, and as behaviors we can change them and thus change a person's experience in life. It's based on the principle that it's the perception of things that causes our emotion. If you perceive something to be bad, then it is experienced as bad. It's pretty simple. The perception is the reality, at least emotionally. It uses a very simple way to remember the underlying principles called the ABCs of cognitive therapy. At A, we have the action or the antecedent event that you react to. Something is as simple as a statement made by another person or perhaps a story reported on the news. At C, we have the consequence or emotional consequence. It can be a reaction or a set of reactions about the event or the action. Most people believe that A causes C, or the action causes the consequence. In other words, if X happens at A, then you are going to react a certain way at C. Very simple, but it's not the case. You see, the same action at A can cause a number of different consequences at C. For instance, if you are walking by a construction site and someone whistles at you, you might have a different emotion if you are a girl of 18 or a woman of 65 or even a 45-year-old man. Same event, different emotional consequence. Or if your spouse says they want to call it quits, it might be different if you are still in love with them or if you have a lover on the side. Again, the same action, but a different consequence. So A cannot cause C, or it causes the same C each time. The difference is at B, or the belief. If you believe that Notre Dame should win every football game, and it's awful if they lose, then you will be very depressed when they lose. If you are a fan of a different team and didn't like Notre Dame, you would be very happy. And if you're not a football fan at all, you wouldn't really care either way. In the same vein, if your boyfriend leaves and you were trying to figure out how to break up with them, you'd be saying to yourself, "My God, what a relief." If you thought he was going to ask you to marry him and it's all a surprise to you, you could be angry and upset. It all depends on what you are saying to yourself. Cognitive therapy and RET believe that if you change the belief about an activating event, you change the reaction and thus change the experience of the world. So concentration is on changing the belief. Now, there are certain beliefs that are just plain irrational most of the time, such as saying to yourself or saying out loud that something is awful or terrible, or "I'm going to die from this." Most of the time, these are irrational beliefs. Usually something's annoying you, or maybe even incredibly annoying, but it's not awful. Irrational beliefs create a lot of anxiety and stress that actually don't need to be there. One of the ways we change the belief about an event comes at D, or the disputation of the irrational belief. The disputation is where the person asks questions or makes statements that relate to the belief about the event. For example, what makes me believe this event's so important? Why is what just happened terrible? Can I recover from this event? Can I make the event work in some way for me? Is this a life-threatening event to me? What is the evidence that this event will be catastrophic to my life? Finally, when you have answered the questions in a correct manner, you should be able to have an E, or an effect, or an emotional effect, which is a change in the emotional consequence. And that change will bring about a different set of emotions about the event. It can turn good feelings into bad feelings, or neutral feelings. It can bring about positive energy into bad energy. So when the statement you make about an event changes, everything turns around or turns on its side. So let's take an example. You are feeling bad about an upcoming test. At A, we have the impending test. At C, right now, we have anxiety and feelings of despair. So the belief at B is, I am going to do awful on this test and the world is going to fall apart. Anxiety created. Now, according to rational emotive therapy, you have to dispute the beliefs with questions and statements at D. So you say to yourself, well, I've done decent on previous tests. Why would I think this one is going to be a problem? Well, the professor is really interested in me learning the material, not just doing well on a test. What else can I do to show that I know the material? Or can I meet with the professor before the test and tell him I'm not confident about the material? What are the things I can do to moderate a bad test score that might be different than showing well on the test? And then there are more elegant solutions where you attack the failure. What is this test score going to mean to my future? Will I lose my life? Or just have to start over and retake the class? Will the world look down on me if I don't learn the material? Most likely I'll get a break in something else that maybe I'll enjoy more. Or even, this is just a hurdle, and I'm good at getting over hurdles. You see, the emotion at E will change when you replace the statements you make to yourself. This is the format for rational emotive therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy.